Lumity One-Shots by its_Kingston on AO3. Episode 3, Chapter 3, Little Miss Perfect. Amity sat up in her bed as she glanced over at her alarm clock. 6 a.m. already? She groaned and got up, having to prepare for school. As Amity straightened out her hair, her stack of tests and homework assignments caught her eye. A stack of straight A's. Amity's phone chimed, and she picked it up. A glance at the name told her everything she needed to know. It was Willow, and she probably wanted to hang out. With a sigh, Amity typed back a genetic response, turning down the offer. Like her mother often told her, Amity had a straightforward life, with no time for worthless friends. It was a straight and narrow path, and Amity didn't plan on taking any detours or cutting any corners. I'm going to be late if I don't hurry up. Amity always made a point to be on time. In fact, she was offered the position of student council president due to her punctuality. She was an incredible leader, never getting drunk at parties and listening to Paul McCarley. She left her room and started towards the stairs, and turned around at the sound of her father's voice. Amity, how are you this morning? He asked, rubbing the bags under his eyes. I'm doing well, Amity replied, making sure to smile. Good, Alador said before walking away. Amity stared down at the stairs, passing a few pictures of Ed and Em. One was taken on their first birthday, another on their second. Amity had a picture from her third birthday hung up towards the bottom, a constant reminder she wasn't truly family. She had been adopted when she was 2, and while she was incredibly grateful to have been spoiled rotten by her parents, she knew they expected something back. And what do I get as far as I've gotten? Amity stepped outside, not bothering to say goodbye to anyone before heading to school. She walked in silence, lost in her thoughts, as she continued to contemplate the previous question. Bosch's annoying tone brought Amity back into the moment, causing her to look around. Hello, Amity, are you even listening? Yes, I am. Continue. Amity said blankly, glancing around. She was now in front of her locker, probably having zoned out while walking and gotten here on autopilot. Bosch's words faded into the background as Amity listlessly grabbed her books. She turned around to leave, but was met with someone behind her. A new student, and an incredibly pretty one at that, was walking past Amity. The girl gave a smile as she walked through the crowded halls, causing Amity's heart to flutter. Who was that? She thought. Well, it's none of my concern. I won't say a word about this to anyone. This kind of behavior, it's absurd. Besides, I can't risk falling off my throne. It's unreasonable to assume I know what love is anyways. Amity ran a hair through her straight hair, and she walked towards her first class. Stepping into the quiet room, she placed her books on her desk and sat down. Here's your test. Good work, the teacher said, pulling a grade of paper on Amity's desk. A red A+ was circled in the corner. Another exceptional grade. She put the paper away and straight forward, facing the large chalkboard that hung on the wall. The girl from earlier sat closer to Amity, absent-mindedly twirling her pencil around and occasionally using it to drum out a rhythm on her desk. Amity refocused on the chalkboard. I'm straight. Perfectly straight. The school's Little Miss Perfect is completely heterosexual. That's me. Despite her best efforts, Amity found herself drawn to the new girl, who she'd come to know as Luce. One evening, as the pair were talking, Luce suggested a sleepover that weekend. Saturday night, Luce stayed over at the Blight Manor. The two of them had fun, cracking jokes and laughing. Eventually, they grabbed drinks and ordered pizza, deciding to settle down and watch a movie. Amity couldn't help but steal the occasional glance at Luce, who was in a trance-like state as she watched the intense battle on screen. It was something strange, an awkward feeling that seemed to pull Amity in. Nevertheless, it was all totally platonic. The rest of the night was filled with jokes and laughs, spoiled drinks, and rushed cleanups. Overall, it was exciting. Luce seemed to know the movie the pair was watching. as she looked over at Amity and smirked as the scene came on. "You see my new shirt? It's made out of girlfriend material," Lou said at the same time as the character, wiggling her eyebrows in a ridiculous way she did. There was just something so calming and enticing about her smile, and the way she smirked. Within what feels like seconds, the pair had watched several different movies. The hours bled together into a blob of time that they spent laughing and sharing together. That's when it happened. Something strangely ironic. Amity felt as if she was watching the world play out in slow motion in front of her. Luz raised her glass bottle beer to her lips, taking a sip of it as she watched the current movie. A slasher fic, intensely. Amity bit her lip, nervously, her attention completely on the girl in front of her. Luz turned towards Amity, smiling brightly. "Did you see that guy? He looked like a scenty, wacky, waving arm flailing inflatable tube man." Amity choked on her beer, coughing as she laughed at Luz's statement. Luz patted her on the back as she laughed too, unable to focus on the movie anymore. "Your hair is really soft." Luz ran her hand through the lower part as she checked on her no longer choking friend. "Thanks. I braid it sometimes. Not very often, though." "Oh, can I?" Luz asked excitedly, accidentally cutting off Amity in the process. Amity laughed, lightly. Luz's behavior reminded her of an energetic puppy. "Yeah." Luz sat beneath the window, with Amity sitting between her legs, back facing the window as well. The movie was long since forgotten as Luz began to hum a soft melody as she braided. Amity closed her eyes and listened. Soon enough, she was out cold. She blacked out for the first time, sitting in her best friend's lap as she braided her hair. Truly the Parental of heterosexuality. "Hey, Amity?" Luz lightly shook her friend's shoulder, waking her up from her alcohol-included nap. "Yeah, I'm awake." Amity rubbed her eyes and glanced around a little. It had been about 15 minutes since she'd fallen asleep. "I finished braiding your hair. Honestly, you look absolutely adorable. You should wear your hair like this, like, a lot more." Luz giggled. "Spin around so I can see the rest." Amity did as requested, turning around in Luz's lap until they were face to face. Luz smiled softly, and Amity tried to use that previously ingested liquid courage to meet her eyes. The green-haired girl finally did, and smiled back. "Yep, I was totally right. You're gorgeous." Luz tucked a stray piece of hair behind Amity's ear. The next thing Amity knew, her hands were cupping Luz's cheeks, and she was leaning in. They both were. Their lips met in a sweet, alcohol-fueled kiss. That came and went far too quickly for either of their likings. Amity leaned back slowly, smiling at Luz, who looked semi-dazed but incredibly happy. "You're definitely beautiful, too." Amity giggled. Her eyes met Luz, then went a little higher. Her stomach lurched, and her smile left her, much to Luz's confusion. Amity met her own gaze as she found a reflection in the mirror. Scared of what she saw. Scared of being herself, of being vulnerable, of being a disappointment to those around her. She drew in a shaky breath. "I'm sorry. This was a mistake," she said quietly, stumbling as she got up. "You can't risk falling off your throne, of ruining what you have made for yourself and what others had helped you along the way," Amity said to herself, looking at her newly cleaned-up reflection in the bathroom mirror. "Love is something you don't even know. Mother has told you what love is, and this truly isn't it. Love isn't between you and another girl. You don't even know." The following events happened months later. After the pair had stopped talking, Amity had seemed to forgot entirely about Luz. It was as if she rewound time and gotten amnesia. Though all she did is deny her feelings and push the truth further away. It was easier to lie to herself than convince her mother to let her live a life she had wanted to. "Hey, Amity?" The girl in question turned around, finding nothing there. Strange. She could have sworn she heard Luz. "Are you confused or something?" Basha laughed as Amity looked up and down the empty hallway. "There's nothing there." "I know." Amity shut her locker with a bang. "It's never worth it when you're Little Miss Perfect. Oh my god, this is literally just a songfic, and I love it. I love it. So we could do a continuation where Luz finally is fed up with this, goes to Amity, and it's like, can we at least be friends? Like, okay, you made a mistake, but can we at least be friends? They befriend each other again, and the incident happens yet again. Amity apologizes and asks for it to be forgotten. Luz agrees. It's like, okay, and this continues happening, right? This is turning out to be angst. It's Little Miss Perfect. Come on, it has to be angst, right? This keeps on happening until Amity finally decides, like, hey, I can't keep doing this. I can't be friends with you and pretend that we don't freaking kiss every week. Like, get it together. I like you a lot, but you can't keep doing this to me. It hurts. Kind of situation, you know? And then Amity finally grows some balls. They kiss, and they start dating in secret. They're dating in secret. They're making sure nobody knows. They're just best friends, of course. Nobody knows. Until Audia finds out. Amity loses it. Audia loses it. Amity breaks up with Luz. Luz is devastated and, you know, cries, and it's a whole public thing. And then they text each other being like, okay, do you think people bought it? Perfect, amazing. And they go on, and we go on. And then, like, they go on through high school, right? High school's done. It's now college. Amity gets a fake boyfriend. The fake boyfriend could be, I don't know, Hunter. Oh my god. Her fake boyfriend is Hunter. And the reason why her fake boyfriend is Hunter is because Hunter is actually dating her brother, and she wants to date Luz. So they get into an agreement. They're like, okay, look, we're gonna pretend date, but we're not actually dating, okay? You like my brother. I like Luz. Oh my god, Hunter and Luz could be siblings. Oh my god, yes. Have them be siblings. Like, I don't know, Hunter's adopted or something, right? It's perfect! It's perfect. I'm telling you. Or maybe not brothers, but like they're besties. They're besties. You can't tell me they're not besties. They give off sibling energy in the main, in the show, in the Owl House. So yeah, and then they go on until finally they get married. And at that point, Amity is grown. She has her shares in the Blight company and has even started her own company. And finally decides to cut ties with her mother. She announces that she's getting married, right? Obviously, Audia thinks it's the Hunter. She's like, oh my god, Hunter's gonna become like my new son. And Amity's like, oh no, I'm getting married to my wife. Yeah. Audia cuts ties with Amity, and Amity cuts ties with Audia. They live happily ever after. Oh yeah, and Audia's two other kids also, you know, get their own companies, marry their respective partners, and they live happily ever after. I'm telling you, I'm a fanfic writer. See, okay, look, coming up with the ideas is not my problem, okay? I could come up with 1,000 ideas. It's why I have so many ideas, right? The problem is sitting down and writing them. The problem sits where, okay, this is my idea, and I know what needs to go in between, and I now need to put so much effort in between every single one so that the idea in my head gets the justice it deserves, because there's an idea in my head, and it needs to be perfect. Not perfect, but it needs to be executed good so that it is up to the standards that I hold myself to. Yeah, I burn myself up a lot, as you could tell. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.